Have the courage to use your own reason. That is the motto of Enlightenment, foundations of the metaphysics of morals. The greatest evil that can oppress civilized peoples derives from wars, not, indeed, so much from actual present or past wars, as from the never-ending and constantly increasing arming for future war. We are enriched not by what we possess, but by what we can do without. Have patience a while. Slanders are not long-lived. Truth is the child of time. Ere long she shall appear to vindicate thee. Laziness and cowardice are the reasons why so great a portion of mankind, after nature has long since discharged them from external direction, nevertheless remains under lifelong tutelage, and why it is so easy for others to set themselves up as their guardians. It is so easy not to be of age. If I have a book which understands for me, a pastor who has a conscience for me, a physician who decides my diet, and so forth, I need not trouble myself. I need not think. If I can only pay, others will easily undertake the irksome work for me. That the step to competence is held to be very dangerous by the far greater portion of mankind. Seek not the favor of the multitude. It is seldom got by honest and lawful means. But seek the testimony of few, and number not voices, but weigh them. Whereas the beautiful is limited, the sublime is limitless, so that the mind in the presence of the sublime, attempting to imagine what it cannot, has pain in the failure but pleasure in contemplating the immensity of the attempt. Two things fill the mind with ever new and increasing admiration and awe, the more often and steadily we reflect upon them: the starry heavens above me and the moral law within me. I do not seek or conjecture either of them as if they were veiled obscurities or extravagances beyond the horizon of my vision. I see them before me and connect them immediately with the consciousness of my existence. Enlightenment is man's release from his self-incurred tutelage. Tutelage is man's inability to make use of his understanding without direction from another. Self-incurred is this tutelage when its cause lies not in lack of reason, but in lack of resolution and courage to use it without direction from another. Sapperod, have courage to use your own reason. That is the motto of Enlightenment. Act in such a way that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, never merely as a means to an end, but always at the same time as an end. We are not rich by what we possess, but by what we can do without. He who is cruel to animals becomes hard also in his dealings with men. We can judge the heart of a man by his treatment of animals. All our knowledge begins with the senses, proceeds then to the understanding, and ends with reason. There is nothing higher than reason. But to unite in a permanent religious institution which is not to be subject to doubt before the public even in the lifetime of one man, and thereby to make a period of time fruitless in the progress of mankind toward improvement, thus working to the disadvantage of posterity, that is absolutely forbidden. For himself a man may postpone enlightenment in what he ought to know, but to renounce it for posterity is to injure and trample on the rights of mankind. For this enlightenment, however, nothing is required but freedom, and indeed the most harmless among all the things to which this term can properly be applied. It is the freedom to make public use of one's reason at every point. But I hear on all sides, do not argue. The officer says, do not argue but drill. The tax collector, do not argue but pay. The cleric, do not argue but believe. Only one prince in the world says, argue as much as you will, and about what you will, but obey. Everywhere there is restriction on freedom. The light dove, in free flight cutting through the air the resistance of which it feels, could get the idea that it could do even better in airless space. Likewise, Plato abandoned the world of the senses because it posed so many hindrances for the understanding, and dared to go beyond it on the wings of the ideas, in the empty space of pure understanding. Skepticism is thus a resting place for human reason, where it can reflect upon its dogmatic wanderings and make survey of the region in which it finds itself. so that for the future it may be able to choose its path with more certainty. But it is no dwelling place for permanent settlement. Such can be obtained only through perfect certainty in our knowledge, alike of the objects themselves and of the limits within which all our knowledge of objects is enclosed. An age cannot bind itself and ordain to put the succeeding one into such a condition that it cannot extend its knowledge, purify itself of errors, and progress in general enlightenment. That would be a crime against human nature, the proper destination of which lies precisely in this progress, and the descendants would be fully justified in rejecting those decrees as having been made in an unwarranted and malicious manner. Law and freedom without violence, anarchy. Law and violence without freedom, despotism. Violence without freedom and law, barbarism. Violence with freedom and law, republic. As nature has uncovered from under this hard shell the seed for which she most tenderly cares, the propensity and vocation to free thinking, this gradually works back upon the character of the people, who thereby gradually become capable of managing freedom. Finally, it affects the principles of government, which finds it to its advantage to treat men, who are now more than machines, in accordance with their dignity. Marriage is the union of two people of different sexes with a view to the mutual possession of each other's sexual attributes for the duration of their lives. High towers, and metaphysically great men resembling them, round both of which there is commonly much wind, are not for me. My place is the fruitful bathos, the bottom land of experience. And the word transcendental does not signify something passing beyond all experience, but something that indeed precedes it a priori, but that is intended simply to make cognition of experience possible. Every beginning is in time, and every limit of extension in space. Space and time, however, exist in the world of sense only. Hence phenomena are only limited in the world conditionally. The world itself, however, is limited neither conditionally nor unconditionally. It is of great consequence to have previously determined the concept that one wants to elucidate through observation before questioning experience about it. For one finds in experience what one needs only if one knows in advance what to look for. When he puts a thing on a pedestal and calls it beautiful, he demands the same delight from others. He judges not merely for himself, but for all men, and then speaks of beauty as if it were the property of things. Deficiency in judgment is properly that which is called stupidity, and for such a failing we know no remedy. A dull or narrow-minded person, to whom nothing is wanting but a proper degree of understanding, may be improved by tuition, even so far as to deserve the epithet of learned. But as such persons frequently labor under a deficiency in the faculty of judgment, it is not uncommon to find men extremely learned who in the application of their science betray a lamentable degree this irremediable want. If you punish a child for being naughty, and reward him for being good, he will do right merely for the sake of the reward. And when he goes out into the world and finds that goodness is not always rewarded, nor wickedness always punished, he will grow into a man who only thinks about how he may get on in the world, and does right or wrong according as he finds advantage to himself. If adversity and hopeless grief have quite taken away the taste for life, if an unfortunate man, strong of soul and more indignant about his fate than despondent or dejected, wishes for death and yet preserves his life without loving it, not from inclination or fear, but from duty, then his maxim has moral content. Thoughts without content are empty. Intuitions without concepts are blind. The understanding can intuit nothing. The senses can think nothing. Only through their unison can knowledge arise. For if the question is absurd in itself and demands unnecessary answers, then, besides the embarrassment of the one who proposes it, it also has the disadvantage of misleading the incautious listener into absurd answers, and presenting the ridiculous sight of one person milking a billy goat while the other holds a sieve underneath. If man is not to stifle his human feelings, he must practice kindness towards animals, for he who is cruel to animals becomes hard also in his dealings with men. We can judge the heart of a man by his treatment of animals. True politics cannot take a single step without first paying homage to morals. And while politics itself is a difficult art, its combination with morals is no art at all. For morals cuts the Gordian knot which politics cannot solve as soon as the two are in conflict.